Well, that music ends, so that means it's time for another Monday night, Tuesday morning Asian movie talk show.
There we go. Yes.
Yay.
Hello, everyone. I'm
With,
the
of
Arty
course,
Dans,
yes, the lovely Arty Dans.
Yep. This person is
Oh, that is Wilco C Rullens.
with a slight echo.
Oh, do I have an echo? Oh, that's because you can hear me in the back.
Well, let's introduce the background.
Guest. Yes, the other guest over there.
Yeah. This.
Yes.
This. I mean,
That's
this.
my CEO and partner in crime, Miss Katie Rong.
Hi. Nice to meet you. Oh, no,
Welcome for the first time ever after 8 episodes, Katie, to our show. And tonight's show is going to be a fun one because we're going to talk about.
Say it. Come on,
Mr. Chow.
I'm gonna say it. Okay, I'm gonna say it.
Yeah, you're gonna say
King of Comedy.
and
new King of Comedy from Stephen Chow.
Beautiful.
Oh.
Now, we're going to have this debate all the way through this episode, and I'd love it if people are going to put some chats in the comments. Are we saying Stefan or are we saying Stephen?
Oh, I say Stefan for
some
reason.
Stefan. But I did hear it in the American movie would be like a movie from Stephen Chow. And I was, who is Stephen Chow?
So I think that's where I got it from. Yeah.
Okay, I guess I got it from Katie then.
No, I mean, Stephen Chow called himself Stephen Chow.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Horse's mouth then. Well, Katie, as is tradition on our show, we always like to start the week off or the episode off by saying what we watched beforehand. I'm going to guess that you and Wilco have watched similar content this week. So would you both like to tell us what was on your agenda for the last 2 weeks?
Well, if I will start here by saying that I have seen nothing in the last 2 weeks. Basically, we've been on heavy pre-production for a international production where we're doing a line production service for. Besides that, I am finishing post-work on a special Tokyo Bay Films Halloween surprise that we will talk about at one point. And of course, we're prepping the release for Ouija Japan, which will come out October 19th. It will hit the streets. So that's kind of where we've been slightly back. It seems that I have to, it used to be October 1st. That's the first time I heard it. Was going to be October 1st, and there are some outlets that are saying October 1st, like Fangoria and stuff like that. So the press releases have started, and it has been already said that it's October 1st. But if you look at all the Walmart, the Best Buy, where you can buy the Blu-ray, that one is all going to be released in October 19th. So we're aligning it now all on October 19th, just to be safe, so that people don't miss out or have to wait.
Beautiful. Well, I'm going to hit you both with a whole wall of movies that I watched this week.
Oh,
okay.
I'm going to start off with an American film. It was called Halloween at Aunt Ethel's, and it was the worst thing I've ever seen.
Always good to have those.
But you know what? It's good. It was good kind of research as to what I shouldn't do in 2 or 3 years' time when we work together to make it ours.
Oh, yes.
So I'm getting that history. Something ticking in the background. I don't know if you can hear it.
Yeah, I can hear it. Is somebody cooking, or is
so,
a machine going haywire?
I don't know, but if I all of a sudden explode, I'm sorry.
No, I guess this is just the episode of the audio stuff. You can hear me in the background of Katie. You can hear Katie in the background of me, and in your background, we have some ticking.
Yes, I think my wife put the heater on. We know what else I watched. I watched. I've been working on a video about Chinese remakes of Korean movies. So I came across Bunshin Saba 2, which is the Chinese movie called Beyond Ki-hong. I love it. I think it's a great film. But I didn't realize it was a remake of a movie called Nightmare or Horror Game Show. It's the exact same plot, the exact same dialogue, almost the exact same things happen with the slight changes, obviously being a Chinese horror film, some slight changes. Same director, Chinese version is better. Believe it or not.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Because the way the movie's written and the way it ends suits the Chinese style much better than the Korean style.
Oh, interesting.
Speaking of Korea, I made the mistake of watching Whispering Corridor 6. And now I'm confused. Yep. It's just not I'm confused. That's all. That's all I'm going to pop it down is. Then I went over to Singapore. I watched 2359. Have you heard of that?
Nope.
No,
Never.
it's like an army type horror movie.
Okay.
Singapore has this thing where they are really scared of. Not scared. They have this kind of tradition about making horror movies about serving in the army. So it's just another one of those films. Katie, you're going to love this. I went back to China. I watched Mutation on Mars, which was possibly a waste of a Chinese monster movie. It was a giant chameleon and a giant whale, and they did nothing with either of them.
What?
Yeah. Terrible. I came across another horror movie called A Woman's Horror, which was actually really good. Again, really good for China. Yep. Then I watched something with our friend Maria in it called Nilalang, which I later found out is called
the Filipino
Geisha of Death. Entity. Yeah, that's a hell of a movie. It's a hell of a movie. And then, of course, I finished off the week by watching 3 Stephen Chow movies: King of Comedy, New King of Comedy, and then I was in such a good mood last night, I popped on Shaolin Soccer.
Oh, okay.
the first time I'd ever seen it.
And if you add God of Cookery and then also Kung Fu Hustle, you got all the good ones.
So I have seen those 2.
I'm sorry. It was the first time you ever see Shaolin Soccer.
Was, yep.
Oh my God. You like it?
And can I just say, I did like it, but can I just say that based on everything that happened in China over the last week, that movie should technically now be banned because of Zhao Wei. So Zhao Wei is the lady she's the one that just got blacklisted off the Chinese internet last week.
Why? What happened?
She's a very rich lady with all of her entrepreneurial dealings. Apparently we're turning into a gossip show right now.
No,
she does
continue.
I love
a
it.
lot of work with Chris Wu, who was recently arrested for rape of underage girls. With China's massive crackdown on celebrity culture, Zhao Wei was caught in the crossfire because she's very wealthy. And of course, she's in the movie as the girl with all the scars on her face that turns into the monk who saves the day at the end. So I'm guessing that movie is now banned in China because of her, which is a real shame.
I thought that because I don't think anyone will ban Stephen Chow movies. However, with that gossip of Chris Wu raping underage girl, I do have some information I can share.
Well, let's go to you, Katie, because now it's time for you. We're going to tell us why you're a fan, what you think of him, but if you've got something to share beforehand, I think Wilco and I are all ears.
I'm listening.
So it's a very interesting story because I have a friend in the Chinese industry, and she kind of told me about the story. So apparently, Chris Wu loves underage and high school girls. That's something we don't have to defend. But the thing is, he was never going to hunt himself. He's not like hunting girls. It's more like his friend, because he's super celebrity. Seems like his friend just get those girls left and right to trying to please him. So he just get them sent to him ish, And however, so this girl, of course, he had a relation, not relation. He had a couple of night or one night, I don't know, relationship with when she was in high school. But the thing is, she was not going to sue him. A fraud guy was, pretending that he was that girl, sent Chris Wu's management that you've been sleeping with me when I was underage. You should pay me this much money. And Chris Wu's mother was like, you're not going to ask my son that much money. Here, I give you 10% of what you ask. But they still gave money. And then the fraudulent guy went to the girl, because he apparently knows, right? After he hacked everything, he went to the girl and then pretended that he was like the Chris Wu side, and then tried to do some fraudulent too or something. And that kind of, make everything sort of big, because the girl was like, I don't know about this. What money? I didn't get. What do I get money? Give me money.
That is a twisted tale. Just before you move on, Katie, I want to. We've got a comment from Eric saying that he still hopes that Whispering Corridor 6 is better than Whispering Corridor 5. I'm going to be honest, Eric, and say I've never seen any of the Whispering Corridors until part 6, so I can't.
You started
judge.
with 6?
Yeah, because I was told they weren't connected.
Okay.
Well, then they're always connected. I don't know.
So maybe I screwed myself over. So, Eric, maybe once you watch part 6, you might be the best judge for that one.
Let's wait for his video. Yeah.
Katie, what
Yes.
caused you to become a Stephen Chow fan?
Ooh. Okay, I think
It's going to be a 3-hour show, I guess.
She's only got 10 minutes.
Oh.
Seriously, I think as a Chinese who was born in China in 1988, anyone that's born in the 80s and 90s in China are automatically Stephen Chow's fan. It's like that was the only entertainment back in the time, because we in China have very serious mood, in our comedy and our entertainment. We're very serious. But the Stephen Chow, nothing is serious about him, right? You see how many times people picking nose, and then how many times like people just hitting each other with no reasons and being mean and being horrible, and everything is horrible but funny.
Tickling little children balls and stuff. Huh?
Yeah,
that was a bit
know.
much, wasn't it?
No. So it's like that's mostly the only thing that's edgy and funny. And that's why we in China say Stephen Chow actually make the entire current Chinese generation. All the, 20, 30 people, their comedy and then their way of thinking is pretty much based on Stephen Chow's movies, beside any others.
Could you say then that maybe Stephen Chow, as a Western, how you say that, comparison, you could say he's like a Tarantino or like a Kevin Smith, someone who changed the industry?
I guess Kevin Smith is funny, but if Tarantino was a funny comedy guy,
let's
yes.
say Tarantino did comedies. Could you say that would be comparable? As in, because Tarantino also shaped the whole generation.
I guess, yeah.
Like the Matrix
Totally.
did.
Well, yeah, like Matrix did. Yeah, totally.
Do you know, I'm struggling to think of a comedian comparison that I can give you. And
that's why I just look at influential people and with, modern influential people.
For me, is that dude. The one who did the Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey, yeah. For me, I think Stephen Chow
If Jim Carrey was a
is
director and directed his own movies, then that would be a good comparison. Okay.
Yeah.
And if he didn't go crazy too.
Well, Stephen Chow also isn't 100%, I heard.
Yeah, but at least he made movies for a good couple decades before he went nuts, not like Jim Carrey. Anyway, so what do you think of Stephen Chow then, Wilco?
Oh, me? Well, I came late to the game with Stephen Chow. I guess Kung Fu Hustle was one of the first ones. So that's very late in his career. So I like that one. And then immediately the movies after, he decided to go serious, dramatic, and in a different direction. So I immediately lost him as a fan. So the only thing I could do then is go back. And then that's what I did at a later date. I went back and then I found The God of Cookery, that I found, the Shaolin Soccer, and of course the King of Comedy. But those are things I found way later. So I didn't grow up with Stephen Chow. Like I said, the first one I really watched was Kung Fu Hustle. And that one made an impact because that was just crazy CGI fest. It was funny. I liked it. But to be honest, going back to his older work is way superior to that.
Yes. Understanding that is the thing that we Chinese think that too. That his older work is just really, really funny.
And for anyone who joins us throughout the show, leave us comments about your favorite Stephen Chow movie or Stephen Chow movies.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Your favorite Stephen Chow moments, and we'll read them out. We really want to know from stories from people who are watching the show.
If you go to his wiki, I think one thing is very interesting because there's like a sum up of his movies.
You guys having a tsunami warning, eh?
No,
Godzilla
Godzilla warning.
We live very close to a hospital, so it's like all day long.
All right.
I mean, our office is close to. What I'm trying to say is that the movies that are really his, the one that are 100% his, directed, written, produced, and as an actor, are God of Cookery, Kung Fu Hustle,
Great film.
and CJ7. So those are the and then it seems he will be doing everything for Kung Fu Hustle too. So those are really the ones that are 100% Stephen Chow movies. And I must say, of all of them, I think God of Cookery is really, really good. That one is up, to the level of the classic movies we used to grow up with. So I would call that a classic movie, The God of Cookery.
Yes, you should really watch it.
Oh, I've seen that. Finally, I have actually seen that one. His first movie I actually ever watched was Kung Fu Hustle back when I was, I think, 21 when it came out. And it's one of those movies that everyone was just talking about at the time. So you watched it. But no one really talked about Stephen Chow. It was just watch Kung Fu Hustle. It's only after I got married and we were looking for a movie to watch one night, and we threw on God of Cookery because Karen says to me, "This is a classic film. You're going to love it." And yeah, by the end, I was in stitches. Of course, Karen Mock's in it, where she plays the ugly bucktooth. And now I don't know about how absolute nerdy you both are about Hong Kong films, but have you ever seen the story of Ricky
Yes.
O?
Ricky O, yes.
Su Wong Fang is the main guy in that, Ricky. The warden is his real life dad.
Okay.
Right? And the warden is in God of Cookery. But he's also in Shaolin Soccer.
Oh, you will notice that he reuses a lot of actors with the King of Comedy, God of Cookery, Shaolin Soccer, Kung Fu Hustle. They're all, but it's funny that the bigger he got, or the more movies he made, that of course he has to hire bigger stars. But all the side characters are all those other people he used to work with in all the other movies.
And it's so good to see them. It is so good to see them.
I know.
So how about then? I'm going to pop a video in the background, and we can start talking about the King of Comedy. So for anyone watching, this is just a couple trailers in the background, just some footage of King of Comedy while we talk about this film. Let's start. Who wants to go first?
Well, I'll let you go first. Ladies first. King of Comedy, 1999. Well, we're both drinking.
I'm sorry. I was listening to you.
No.
Okay.
You can start. What do you think?
Oh, I love it. Okay. I as a Chinese. By the way, this is actually something I didn't. Oh yeah. Like this part, right? It mocks so many like Hong Kongese movies in a ridiculously funny way. Like this is like a John Woo. Yeah, and it's just really funny. But for me, older Hong Kongese movie is just really, really romantic. I don't, it has a sort of, I don't know how to explain that. It's really a romance for me, all the sound, all the way people speaks, and all the musics. I just so nostalgic. I just don't know
mono and dubbing. That's
so you know how the director is so exaggerated? Who's he supposed to be a piss take of?
Well, it is a John Woo set, but I have no idea about anything image-wise that John Woo had a quirk or anything that he was maybe parodying. I have no idea personally. Katie, do you know if the director that was directing that John Woo type film within the film King of Comedy, if his behavior was based on John Woo?
I'm not quite sure, but what I heard is back in the time, Hong Kongese film industry is just like super flourishing, and they have produced so many movies very fast, in a way crappily. So people's attitude was, of course, this movie is exaggerated, but they are having those attitude, instead of being archy, like this character has to never be like, I do this and I go, that kind of attitude. They did have that. That's what I kind of heard. And then they were in a good way, very nonchalant and didn't care too much.
Although the John Woo in this movie is pretty artsy because he wanted to see the pigeon with the head front. No, I want to see his ass front. No, I want.
Meanwhile, he's on fire in the foreground.
Yeah. And then they have a whole conversation in the meantime while he is burning up. Yeah, what I have to say is I think it's a very, very funny movie. I mean, the slapstick comedy is brilliant. When we start talking about funny moments, I mean, when do we stop? Because it is funny as hell. I believe. Of course, it's not perfect. I have a complaint, and that is, to me, story-wise, the ending when he goes undercover, for his role of a lifetime. I kind of understand it within the context of the film. However, I do think it's such a tonally different, and that it for me didn't fit the film at all. It's like it was immediately transformed into another movie, and that kind of pulled me out. I think the movie ended just before that, when he finally declared to Cecilia that he was going to support her, even now he's a bigger actor. Of course, he loses everything after that. Ooh, Cecilia is a pretty lady.
Oh, first movie ever, 19-year-old, fresh from Australia. I didn't realize she actually was a teenager in Australia.
Oh, really?
Yep. Her parents got divorced and she went to Australia to study. And she went back to Hong Kong, did a bit of modeling, and then boom, she ends up in this. And
wow,
oh my God, I actually can't get over her kind of, in Australia, we call it a bogan accent. In I think in China, you refer to it more as like a rural accent. She just sounds so rough. And Cantonese makes that roughness sound more authentic. Like, I don't know, that wouldn't have sounded so good in Mandarin, no offense, but in Cantonese, it sounds fantastic.
I agree.
I love Manta. He's so good. He's so harsh to him all the time. But you're right. The ending was a different film. The ending was it was violent, and it kind of wasn't funny. It betrays the whole film.
You're absolutely 100% right. It wasn't funny. Maybe that's why it so felt out of place.
I have a theory about this. So the King of Comedy basically is a story of Stephen Chow's life. After I watched this movie, I went on obsessive research about Stephen Chow. And the Stephen Chow, before he picked up to be a comedian, he was actually a very serious actor. And he was seriously acting as a extras in movies. You can find in some really classic Hong Kongese movies and TV shows where he was seriously walking in the background, or like have one-liners. But the rumor was that he was actually that guy in the King of Comedy himself. He had too much thoughts on acting. He picked up other people's acting while they're all like the extras. So I think until that ending up with Cecilia, it was sort of story of his life, was his wish for what could happen. But then I think after that, he just kind of be like, I have to do something. I don't know what to do. Let's put a little story there that never happened to me. So,
Yeah. We just got a comment. Yeah. We just got a comment from Sean. He says, it's the first time he realized that fried eggs and tomato rice is a popular dish. I have to admit, it's probably one of the things I eat quite regularly when we go back to China. But that's a
really
very
yummy,
good comment, by the way. Yeah, and I suppose that comes from him eating those, getting paid in those lunch boxes. What was I going to say? I've got a complete mental blank. Oh, there's a couple of jokes. There's a couple of jokes that don't actually translate well. That I had to get my wife to explain to me. And one of them was the cartoon about taking a shit. And Katie probably gets it because it's all in Chinese and she can actually read it and understand. But there's that cartoon that plays in the background and they're talking about going to the toilet. That didn't translate well. I think the naked kid bit is probably not cool nowadays, I would safely assume.
I thought it was hilarious.
Well, that's the thing. We do not sexualize kids in China, or let's
In
say in Hong
Asia.
Kong. So for us, naked kids is just stupid and weird and funny. There is nothing sexual, because there weren't any pedophile back in the time in China, I believe. So
Oh, I don't know
that's
if
why.
you could say that, Katie. That's a
I don't know. I think
controversial
nowadays
statement.
I think nowadays they're like, they cannot put kids' nakedness because it could be sexual, it could be child pornography. But back in time, nobody thought that was anything sexual. I
Yeah,
believe.
so
And you shouldn't be. No one should be looking at that way anyway. But
no,
it
but
just,
culturally, we do when we do have kids, and then, like, let's say if a kid is sitting on a knee of an adult, we don't think, oh, look at that kid with his dad or his uncle. No, immediately we go to, what is he doing?
yeah.
What's going on
Oh,
there? So
you know what? I
we
didn't vet
are
this
like,
video beforehand. I should have
So,
vetted this video beforehand.
we are kind of conditioned to have to sexualize the kids in our head, and I guess what Katie means is that in Asia they will never think about that. So that's why when you see a kid naked, it's not sexualized; it's just funny, because it's
Hey.
just the flicking of the
Yeah.
of the penis is just funny because it's a
We
small
had
little
that
penis.
just now.
Sorry, I didn't
Oh.
realize that was still in the clip, so I apologize for that.
Yeah, but it's not sexual. It's just funny. It's just like it's a
Oh
little.
yeah.
And then let's go to the funny moments, because I think that was pretty funny, because the first time when you see that kid, because the kid comes back like 3 times, but I must say that the third time you see him is actually part of a bigger joke, which I thought was pretty funny. But I thought it was so funny that you see all these random montages, and all of a sudden you just see this naked kid just lying on, what was it, the ping pong table? It was just or the pool table. So it was just laying there like out of nowhere, just plop.
We've got another comment from Sean. He says that early on in China, girls were usually married at young ages. So, there's probably that stigma is probably just not there. Youth and doing that. But that's an interesting comment. So thank you for that one. Thank you for that one, Sean.
Oh, by the way, just to add, in Japan, women are legally marriable at the age of 16.
Okay.
But so still, you can marry a girl when she's 16, but you cannot, have a snuggle time with her until she's 18 legally.
Oh, that's got to be awkward for a couple of years.
Wow, that's like driving a car in America and drinking.
Yeah, right.
So you can drink before you can drive, and in Holland is the other way around. You can after you no wait a minute, we can drink when we're 16, we can drive when we're 18, so we know how to handle our liquor before we learn how to drive. In America, you learn how to drive, and then later you learn how to drink, so you don't know how it's like to be drunk, and then you just get in your car. So
So just to kind of steer us back on track a little bit here.
Okay. Naked kids back on track. So
there's a scene.
It was perfect with that scene when we go to the Triad guys. That scene was hilarious.
And in fact, I was going to get to that one later, but let's go to that one first then.
Yeah.
And then I'll bring up the other bit later. The Triad guy, whose name I forgot, I think his name is Jerry Law. Again, one of his first movies that he was in, and he has got a great career now. That particular Triad guy. He was also in Shaolin Soccer that I watched as a very similar type character. But he doesn't have that super strong Triad type accent. That's an interesting character because he's this very low level gangster, but he thinks he is top shit, and him trying to get that very nerdy guy to shake down the KTV owner. Again, that's where we see Ricky's dad as the guy who beats him up.
That's okay.
That's Ricky's dad. Yeah, it's. What do you guys think is the purpose of the Triad character? What's he there for? Is that a piss take on the John Woo style movies and those kind of that you have to put these kind of triads?
Probably
in
a
these
thuggy
movies
thing, yeah. It's probably a take on the thugs on that whole, because the whole movie, even with the ending, it all kind of has that. I guess the movies that were popular at the time, those type of films. So, and everything is kind of comes back to that with the ending scene where he goes undercover. So I guess also the triad thing is more like, oh, we need triads because that's also a element from. So I do think that the John Woo is more infused in the entire movie because it was just popular at the time, those type of films. And I guess he was just the biggest director, John Woo, at that point from those type of films, like, with like A Better Tomorrow and stuff like that. And I guess that's why it's just infused in the film. Personally, I just think the nerdy guy, his scene is just hilarious. I just think it's so funny. And that's also why the naked kid comes in, because it's just, things you do to kids, so you shouldn't do that to an adult. And that what makes it awkward. And that's, the funniness of the scene, in my opinion.
So this is the other scene I wanted to talk about is after Stefan and Cecilia sleep together. And then he realizes that she probably lost a whole night of earnings by spending the night with him. He decides to give her all of his money that he has and some of his watch. So in my head, I'm thinking she's going to reject it and tell him that, no, it was genuine. But she takes it. And so this was part of a chat that I had with my wife about why she would do that. And she said because he's insulted her by giving her the money. And so she's taking the money and just taking the insult. Katie, can you... what do you think?
I 100% agree with your wife. Because, maybe in the movie it's not 100% clear, but the Cecilia was actually a hooker, so she get paid having sex with, not really all the time, but to spend time in KTV and then have sex with people. That's her profession. She get paid. So, but she didn't sleep with him as a hooker job. But if he paid her, then she can assume, oh, you just thought I'm just a hooker for you.
Yeah, then, and I also want to add that he didn't pay her because he thought, oh, she lost money because he slept with me. It was because she was a whore, and that's what you do with whores. So she expects to be paid.
See, I got a different interpretation. I got the interpretation that because he's a good man, that he felt that he should pay her for her time because
he felt that she slept with him only for that reason, not because she liked him, but because she's a professional.
It's more like
what people in the chat think. If someone else can join in the chat and give us their opinion, I'd be curious.
And the wiki agrees with me, because if you go to the wiki page, it also describes it that way, as in, well, he thinks that she only slept with him because of that reason, and that's why he pays her. So,
case closed then.
No, I don't know. At least one other person agrees with me.
I love it how every time she hugs him, she wraps her thighs around his waist. It's hilarious. Absolutely
and hilarious. I must say, if you like Cecilia, you must love lip balm now, and you would want more lip balm.
Oh, that scene. And he's so dumb in that scene too. She is I'm gonna fanboy out here, but she is she is stunning. Absolutely stunning. She's got a very classic Chinese look to her.
She's
and
cute.
She is very cute. Okay, so overall, we started this with Eric last week, and I kind of liked the idea where we started giving things 5 stars.
Right, yeah.
Overall, out of 5 stars, what would we give The King of Comedy? Wilco?
Personally, I think that is very difficult, because what is the comparison, right? Like, if we do a Lust of the Dead, all 5 movies ranking, you can kind of compare them with each other. Like last time, we compared the first movie with the second movie of the Wolf Warrior movies, let's say. So now I have to compare it to all movies, or how do I rate it?
Compare it to other Stephen Chow movies then.
Oh, okay. Okay. Other Stephen Chow movies. I'll give it a 4 out of 5, not out of 10.
I know that. I'm just wondering if Katie's yawning or thinking. That's all.
No, she looks insulted. Like, what the? She's insulted. What? That I didn't give it a 5 out of 5?
5 out of 5.
I give it a 4 out of 5. No, because the ending wasn't. It's funny. I like it, but that ending part, story-wise, didn't fit, in my opinion, and that's why I will give it a 4 out of 5.
Katie?
All right. unconditional 5 out of 5.
So I'm a little bit
all
torn on
Stephen
this.
Chow movie is the 5 out of 5 unconditionally, in my opinion.
So
Because
I'm
of
a
the
little
fun.
torn on this because I think as a Stephen Chow directed film, I'd probably give it, say, a 4.5. As about a 3.5 as a directed film. A directed film. As a movie that he acted, but as a movie that he acted in, I'd give it, say, a 4. And again, I've got the same issue with you, Wilco. It's the ending. It just feels out of place. But it does score points for Cecilia Chung, for Karen Mock, because she's awesome as well, for Man Tat, because he's fantastic too. So the supporting cast in this film is,
I think
who's
he
who
really
of Hong
tried,
Kong at the time.
I think he really tried to tell a story about his life, and therefore he just put it all in, and that maybe didn't fit the story 100%, but he just wanted it in there. I think that's kind of probably what happened.
We've got a comment. Sean says 4 out of 5 for him. So that's a solid rating.
Good.
Okay. But I have to protect the ending one more time.
All right.
Now I think about it.
Go for it.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
I think the ending is good there because at the beginning it was a Jong Woo movie. He was an extra in it, right? So it's a fantastic. It's a fake world that he was just standing as a nobody, wherever. That's nothing in his life. But in fact, he actually really run into the Jong Woo world. Possibly, it's kind of continuing the story, right?
It's like a full circle, essentially.
I agree, and that's what I also said in the beginning, that I do feel that it has some connection with what happens in the movie. However, we in the West don't like genre changes or mood changes in films. So I know England doesn't a lot, that all the comedies end up in dramas, tearjerkers. And I know that in Asia that happens a lot, especially in the Indian movies.
Oh, Korea.
I'm not saying we don't do it. Tarantino did it with From Dusk Till Dawn. But what I'm saying is that in general, the Western audience don't like genre changes, or what they call double mumbo jumbo, when you have two different genre elements in one movie, like ghosts and sharks. We're like, what's going on? Is it a ghost movie or a shark movie? We get confused. We
ghost sharks.
By the way, I also
Those
think
exist.
ghost. But by the ghost and shark sounds pretty cool. I'm kind of thinking the ghost versus shark, like Sadako versus shark.
Yeah, Sadako versus shark. Yeah.
That'd be cool, right?
Or Sadako versus giant octopus.
It's like, it's like,
is
the octopus gonna wrap on Sadako, or is Sadako is gonna somehow kill the octopus?
Somehow.
We just got a comment. Sean says that Stephen Chow is in A Better Tomorrow.
As an extra, or
Sean, can you give us more information about that one?
Which one? 1, 2, or 3?
And that too.
Oh, I think he was an extra. I'm not 100% sure, but wait a minute.
So he doesn't say he's better in it. He just said he was in it. Sorry, let me clarify his statement. He said Stephen Chow was in A Better Tomorrow. Yeah. So, Sean, if you can give us more info, we would love to know more about it.
Yeah.
While you're doing that, I think Wilco is going to take us through Ouija Japan.
I'm gonna do little Ouija Japan pitch. So this Halloween, it's Kill or Be Killed. Coming October 19th from Tokyo Bay Films, CultureSHOCK Japan presents, directed by Masaya Kato, Ouija Japan. Karen is an American housewife living in Japan who desperately wants to fit in with her Japanese community until peer pressure forces her to play the Kokori-san, the Japanese Ouija, with the other housewives unwittingly disrespecting a local deity who sets them up to fight each other in a deadly game of Battle Royale. You can pre-order the Blu-ray today on Walmart, Best Buy, Amazon, and Barnes & Noble, and find the links in the link tree in the description. Let the hunt begin. And that was my pitch.
Beautiful. Now, Sean has given us clarity about it.
Oh, yes.
He says he is a small gangster who was shot in the dining room leaning by the door. So that must happen. Must happen when John Woo's character goes to Taiwan to confront all the gangsters, I assume. A Better Tomorrow is a great film, and we should talk about that one day.
That also reminds me of, I think it was Death Wish 4 or 5, where Danny Trejo was also just a gangster who gets shot.
Oh, good old Danny Trejo. And look where he is now.
Ooh.
Yes, Katie?
There are some other Chinese stuff that Stephen Chow was actually extra in it. It's like, do you know? I think your wife must know the 《射雕英雄传》とか. You know, like I mean, you know the they. Oh my God! I just don't really know.
She's having a mental blank.
I am having a.
Try again.
I mean, the hero that was
Which movie?
It's not movie. It's TV shows.
Oh, it's a series.
Sorry.
But anyway, like some other
I know
TV
nothing
shows
about that.
produced by Jin Yong. Okay, we have to do a Jin Yong series
I guess so.
because
All right.
Jin Yong is something. Do you even know about it?
No, but I'm willing to learn.
You are talking about it right now, so
Yeah.
we're
So
listening.
Jin Yong actually, I'm sorry, Jin Yong has a little more of influence to Chinese people's current modern days. He was the one who did all the kung fu, all the udang. He created the world of the udang and kung fus and stuff. He's a very old writer. He wrote all the books, and then legendarily, his books, all his series, get remake into movies or TV shows every 2-3 years. So it's still
This
now
sounds
going
like a
on
topic
now.
we need to look at.
Yeah,
Definitely.
it's really,
We
really
haven't
cool.
done Kung Fu
Yes,
yet.
Condor Heroes story. Yes, that's a classic.
Condor Hero story. There we go.
It's the thing. When you get into the Chinese series, you have to commit yourself a lot because a lot of them have 70 episodes or 40 episodes or something. Yes. The Legend of the Condor Heroes.
Beautiful. Thank you, KL, for that comment as well.
Thank you
Sean.
so
Thank you
much.
that. So it's good to know that people know this. We've got people online who know this stuff. That's
I
great.
know the Wuxia classics are made by Jin Yong, and you have to watch it.
I'm not gonna watch
cannot
72 episodes.
Please, just commit 72 hours of your life. You know,
Sure.
like 3 days straight.
Why
No,
not?
you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. I recommend all the 80s one and the 90s one because they are less visual effect. They're actually good, real kung fu shit going on, and come on, watch it.
Sean just says watch the trilogy Condor Heroes as Condor Couples. So maybe we stick with that one then. That could be a
should do
great
that.
episode.
We can
to
rate
talk about.
them.
Yeah.
Oh,
Speaking. Oh, yes, Katie, because we need to move on. But yes,
sorry. Yeah, let's move on.
are you sure? Because we'll have Katie
Sure
back from
no,
Wuxia
are you
then.
sure? Because normally I cannot stop her from if she wants to say something. So.
Oh, then if we've got a break in pause, I think we'll go straight to the next topic.
All right,
And-
go.
See?
Next.
People love to
Go.
listen to
Before it's too late.
Well, we're moving on from Jin Yong, and we're going to talk about 2019's follow-up movie, The New
Boom.
King of Comedy.
Yes.
Now, everyone in the chat is going to hate me. Both of you two are going to hate me, and I'm probably going to lose half of my subscriber base.
Oh my
Oh,
god!
good.
I adored this film,
Of course.
but I adored it in Cantonese and not in Mandarin.
All right.
And the reason I adored this film is because of the dad. He is a classic, and I loved every single scene the dad was in. Yep.
Yeah, the parents for me are also the best thing of this movie. They steal the show. They make the movie for more than one reason, and maybe me and Dan have a similar reason, but I will get to that a little later when we talk about more recognizable elements of real life in this film.
Yeah.
What I can say about this movie is that personally, it's more an emotional story. It's more dramatic than the first King of Comedy, because that's a real comedy with slapstick humor in it, and this one is more modern, and although it has crazy comedy in it, it is more modern and more trying to tell a more emotional, coherent story. I think it's good, not as impactful as the original, I must say. Definitely,
Sean doesn't like it.
Definitely an interesting watch. But the parents make the movie 100%. I thought that the character who plays the big fallen star, let's say,
Bao Xiang Wang?
yeah, I don't like him that much.
Wang Bao Xiang, sorry. Yep.
I am not a big fan of him. And besides that, the lead is also falls a little flat. Although I must say that I was skeptic at first, but she did win me over at the end. She does, she's worth it. She's worthy, I mean. But not as impactful as Stephen Chow himself in the original, I think.
I'm hoping that I'm going to win over Sean when I explain why I like the film. But I want to hear from Katie first.
Okay. First of all, as a person in this industry, it's so relatable. I mean, is it? Well, yes, it is.
Very much.
It's so relatable. It's I mean, it's a little exaggerated. It's not 100% like that. However, it's so relatable. It's like La La Land, right? It's like everyone in this industry just be like, "Oh my God, I'm crying." Every time I watch it, I'm crying. I'm just like, all those people. But yeah, I do understand if you're really, really Stephen Chow fans, to be honest, seriously, any movie that Stephen Chow is doing that doesn't have Stephen Chow in it is like a -1 for me.
So even The Mermaid. Whoa. I mean, a lot of people didn't like The Mermaid. So anyway, yeah.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of people were actually fan of the actor Stephen Chow. And the actor and director Stephen Chow himself, but when he's not acting, it's just like, I miss that him. I missed him in his movie. Yes, and that's the thing. I think that for me is a -0.5. However,
yeah, continue.
Oh, sorry.
No.
The acting. The lead acting, I'm actually quite impressed about the lead women's acting, how natural, not acting she is. Yeah. It's quite difficult if you see a lot of Chinese contents for people to not act, for people to act so natural, in my opinion, right? From a Chinese point of view, I think she's really natural. Also, Wang Boqiang is very natural and funny at the same time. It's sad. It's almost very sad. But yeah, I mean, that natural acting of her also kind of make me really, really like the movie. Now, of course, the parents also makes me cry because, it reminds me of my own parents. It's just, yeah.
I think I told you both that I watched this film in Mandarin and Cantonese. And Wang Baoxian, who's the guy that's on screen now, I like some of his earlier stuff, and his kung fu stuff is fantastic. If you've seen him in he's a Donnie Yen movie he's in, I think I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but maybe someone knows. He's great. And the first two Detective Chinatowns I really love, but he ruined Detective Chinatown 3 for me because he's moved into a parody of himself. And I think in this movie he parodies himself as well, which is why when I watch the Mandarin track, I don't like it. When I switch over to the Canto track and he's been dubbed by a different voice who's more mellow, he becomes a much better character, a much more easier to relate to character because he's not just a dickhead. There's a couple of famous scenes from part 1 that they've redone in this one. I think she is great. I think she's I think she started off as a stunt woman as well, if I remember correctly, before she made this movie. She's got a great background, this lady, as well. This is her first really big film. She'd been in TV shows and other things beforehand. And since then, she's actually had a pretty decent career. So this kind of kickstarted her career a little bit as well. And then there's a woman right at the end, if you remember, the woman with kind of a bigger of a puffy face where she gives the same speech to. There's a clip coming up here where she's another real life extra that Stephen Chow has kind of managed throughout the film to get a really good performance out of her. So it seems like that here it is. This is the scene here.
This one.
Yeah, it seems like Stephen Chow was actually true to what he wanted to do in helping extras out with this film. What about and I didn't get this until yesterday when I watched this movie again. The boyfriend character is Cecilia Chung's character. Just slightly more nastier.
Well, the whole film is a remake. Therefore, but then in a very weird way, because they took elements from the first movie and juggled them together into this one, but then still created an original movie with the same elements that were in.
And got rid of the violent ending too.
Yeah,
thankfully.
They got rid of the violent ending, more based on the on an emotional story, which was successful. But they also kept a few of the jokes from the original movie, so it was a remake at heart, while telling an original story, but then still about the life of an extra. And I must say one thing: I like King of Comedy because it's so crazy, the John Woo references, and of course the fact that it's so slapstick funny and it's very comedic, and Cecilia is gorgeous. However, I wasn't in the industry in that time, and I can tell you from now. Worked with the Chinese and on Chinese productions. The new King of Comedy, showing the modern version, is spot on. Sure, it's exaggerated, but I recognize it. There's a lot of similarities of people we met and we worked with, and I must say that as a modern version of that, as a industry guy trying to make his own way in the industry, is very recognizable.
Something to add on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you know the backstory of Wang Baoqiang?
Yes.
This movie is also the story of him in a way.
Yes, I realized that too, actually. Yeah. So, do you know about him, Wilco?
No, please tell the story.
He grew up poor. Grew up very poor. His family wanted him to do something else with his life, but he instead decided to join a Shaolin temple and learnt Shaolin martial arts after his village had watched, was it Hero or one of those Jet Li films? He fell in love with Shaolin. He then used that to start basing his career, and he was an extra for ages, if I remember correctly, as well, until he started to get his small breaks. I think he was in a TV show first. Correct me if I'm wrong, Katie. Maybe a TV show, and then he moved to Hong Kong to do a couple of action films. And the story of his life was also retold recently in a film called Shaolin Masters or something. Came out a few months ago, where he is the starring role and he plays himself in it as well. So yeah, he's
yes.
I've got, you know what? While you're doing that, I've got something. Keep talking. I've got something to show.
All right. So,
so let me add, though. Can I add on that story?
Please,
so,
of course.
When he was 15, he had 580 RMB with him and then went to Beijing. And he was actually in one of the studio, just like in this movie. He was sitting there outside waiting for extra roles every day. And then he was living in a shared house that was shared with 6 other people. And then he was a cleaning gentleman in the buildings or something for a while while she's doing that. So this is really sort of a story of his life.
His story as well. Okay, interesting.
I want to show you this. This is a Lego Baoxiang Wang Baoxiang. I bought a couple of kits for Detective Chinatown, and it came with a mini one of him. It's one of my favorite little minifigures.
Cool.
That's I thought that at times some of the characters are quite nasty in this film, and maybe you guys can give me an insight if that's over exaggerated or if that's actually legit. Like she does the nude scene and they just brutalize her skin, her this, her that, and I think, well, that's really mean. Is how accurate is some of that?
Can I? Okay. Well, lookism in China is really, really a serious problem right now. So you have to look good. And then it's not only about the body, but it's more like I'm in industry, right? The people are always constantly only caring for finding good-looking people. And then, good-looking people and then famous and popular. And then it's like for them, they're like a super this useless if you're not good looking or if you're not popular. It's rare. People rarely care for your for the talent. But it's a downside of the industry in China, in my opinion. But it is sort of the truth. However, that nonchalant way of speaking, like directly in her face, that's more like Hong Kong. That's more like Stephen Chow's comedy, I think, because we in Chinese will not say that. We'll just say, "Oh, lovely sweetie," and then never use her again. That's what really happened in China.
Yeah, and also that's why it's funny that sorry.
I just want to say quickly, Wilco, we've just had a lot of new people join the chat, join the stream. Just want to encourage anyone who's watching the stream, leave us comments about which one you prefer, the King of Comedy or the new King of Comedy. You can see the chat history's got some scores there, because we really would like to know from everyone watching what they think of Stephen Chow and his movies. And we'll read out some of your comments. So sorry, please continue, Wilco.
Yes. Well, what I wanted to say is that that's why it's also funny. At one point, there's this Western guy, the Western camera guy, that doesn't have that Chinese mentality, and that's why when she is in the bathtub, you hear this Western guy with a camera say, "She looks great." Like, so he thinks it's okay. He has no problem with her, but it's the Chinese who are like, "Oh, are you kidding me? Get her out of here. We don't want her in the shot." And I wanted to end this new King of Comedy segment before we got cut off brutally, to highlight the parents just before we round it off with what we with the grade and which one we like better, because I still want to talk to Dan about this. Like, why do you like the parents so much?
I like the dad because he was funny. Right now, firstly, I like the dad because he was funny, but I also like it because he was very supportive, and he was too afraid to show that he was supportive. And it's very it's probably a very Asian thing too, but it happens a lot in European culture too. Like, my dad will be very harsh on me and then secretly tell someone he's proud of me. And I love how the dad defends the daughter when he goes on set and he hits himself with the glass bottle because he's too scared of the guy. Is that what you're thinking too, Wilco?
Well, for me, it's more because I lived in China, and in a way, if you swap the genders, they just remind me of Katie's parents. So it's like, because I spend a lot of time with them, and so for me, they were very recognizable as real life people. Of course, these parents were super endearing. They aggressively supported her. I mean, the best scene of the movie, I have to highlight for me personally, was that moment that she went home, she gave up, then this fallen actor comes there to say, "What do you mean you gave up?" And then at that moment, the guy is gone, and she's like, maybe I should do. And the guy's like, "I knew it. You were gonna go back. Get her a ticket. Get her. Here's some money." Like,
no, but I think he was also saying it in his negative tone. That's the funny part, right? It's like, "I knew it. You're gonna be shaming me again."
I knew you were gonna be shaming me. Buy a ticket. You make sure it's first class. Or here's some money. I knew you were gonna do this.
God damn it!
And then when she tells him it's too much money, keep it.
And then
never come back, brother.
What I thought was very beautiful. What I thought was very beautiful, the most endearing, beautiful moment of the movie was at the award show, that she actually, the moment she had to go to pick up the award, she walked to her parents. It was that moment that she actually walked toward her parents instead of going to the stage to get her award. That I thought was a very cute moment, that she actually was like family first, right? So she's like, "Oh, parents, look what I did." And then everyone's like, no, you have to go over there. You have to go on stage.
Yeah. What about
did you get the feeling?
Did you get the feeling when Mimi was in the crowd and she was looking at her? How if that was explored in the film, how should Dreamy have handled the scene with Mimi, knowing that Mimi had completely kind of pushed her way when she was delivering food at the director's studio? How Mimi's all like, "Well, this is your dream, not mine." I thought Dreamy was going to go up to Mimi and do something because she was looking at her, but she didn't. How should she have reacted if there was that scene in the film?
Oh, wow. Well,
philosophical.
You want a personal answer or a what the movie should have done? Yeah, you can go both ways. You can forgive her, or you can do the same thing she did to you. So I guess that's a very how you call that? It's a very
what would Stephen Chow have done? What do you think he would have done in the film? How do you
think, Katie?
Katie?
Okay. Yeah. Stephen Chow, well, what I think as a character of Dreamy, right? The Dreamy as a character actually should have not cared about what Mimi did before and then just be like, maybe smile to her, be like, hey, that's what I think. But I think for a movie, they wanted to show the bad guy had the bad treatment, each kind of stuff. That's why they let Dreamy ignored her. And and also ignore the other director because that's the ones who denied her dream before.
Yeah, when she ran on stage.
Yeah, he was like, and then Yeah. But Stephen Chow wise, in general, it is pretty famous that Stephen Chow himself is very strict and then quite an asshole. It's like really hard to work with because he has this, he has this really artistic strictness, so it's really, really hard to work with him. So as a real life Stephen Chow, I think Stephen Chow will be totally ignoring the person who used to be bad to him, and then maybe even give a couple of cynical comments or something.
Yeah, probably that was in the movie, but they cut it just to make her not look like an asshole, probably.
Yeah.
But how about Stephen Chow? He didn't direct this movie alone, did he?
Yes.
Oh yes.
Yeah, we're looking at you, Katie.
Yeah, looking at you, Katie.
Oh, yes.
Tell us more.
Not that you directed it, but you know the story.
Yeah.
No, this movie was co-directed by Herman Yau, whom we worked with together in his 77 Heartbreak when they shoot in Kamakura and then in Japan. And then, we have actually, so I'm actually very proud to say I am one contact with, in between me and Stephen Chow.
Exactly.
And I know you, so I'm two contacts. Boom. And everyone watching this knows me, and they're three contacts. So there you go.
Damn.
We just played 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, everyone. 6 degrees of Stephen Chow.
We now like, hey, I know Stephen Chow.
I hang out with him daily.
Yeah. So how much do you think Herman Yau does in this film?
Oh. Okay, so
why did he co-direct? Right. Because that's not normal, right?
Well, the Herman Yau is actually now Herman Yau is really, really big. His newer movies actually topped Chinese box office record for Hong Kongese director. He has a box office record right now.
Which film, do you know?
Probably name of the film in English, I don't
Shock.
know. Yeah,
is it Shockwave?
Shockwave, probably.
But Herman Yau started in low budget filmmaking, and so his specialty is actually fast, cheaper, and then good. So because of him being fast, cheap, and good, that he is really popular. He directed 80 movies.
I'm going to look him up while you're talking.
I'm also looking at the list of.
He directed 80 movies.
Yes, but the question I asked is why did he co-direct with Stephen Chow?
So
what is Stephen Chow's problem?
I know. This is my my personal take on this. Is that Stephen Chow is very anal. I don't know my use of word is right. Because that's the Wilco's English. Okay, I'm just complaining someone else.
I like anal. Continue.
Hey, don't get us taken off again.
The word.
Okay. By the way, Eric says he likes Herman Yau's Cat 3 stuff. I think because a lot of his Cat 3 stuff is pretty full on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So because of Stephen Chow is very anal, so he can take a long time. And then, if you see his making of a new King of Comedy, you can see that he really only take one scene sometime the entire night or afternoon, and the people will be like, just cannot get it right. And then the actors all struggled with him. So that's Stephen Chow. But Herman Yau, on the other time, is like, I save you time, I'm fast, I'm quick. So it's just a very good balance, in my opinion, to have a co-director like that.
How about his quirk of running away from the set?
Yeah, I mean, that also happens because he's overly anal. Sometimes he just will be like, it's not happening. I'm leaving.
So Wang Baoxiang is also Stephen Chow.
Well, I guess it's coming out of his writing or something. Yeah.
So at least he's aware of what he does, from the sounds of it.
Or the studio is aware of what he does.
Yeah, so Stephen Chow is, as far as I know, that he is kind of an asshole. Like you said, he's very, very strict and anal, and he tends to not show up on set. And that is, in my opinion, why they have the extra director, just in case. And because Stephen Chow is a big boy, they got another new big boy to help him out, or like a rising big boy, which was Herman Yau.
I reckon at that stage, Herman Yau would have been more than rising. He's fresh off directing the film Home with a View, the Hong Kong comedy film with Louis Koo. So yeah, he's I don't know if there's any real tell in the movie that a scene wasn't directed by Stephen Chow. The only bit that I get perhaps is the horror scene, which is one of my favorites because me and horror. That felt really well directed. That whole scene.
I would say the emotional parts, because I do think that Stephen Chow would like to do all the comedic parts, and I think that as soon as the story becomes story, that's why I also feel it's less Stephen Chow. So I guess it's because the movies he does, Herman Yau does, are the character pieces. And I think that's the character parts that Herman Yau did. Of course, we don't know, but that's what I'm speculating, because that's where it feels less like Stephen Chow and more like a normal movie. And that's what Herman Yau does. By the way, that guy shoots really, really fast, because we worked with him, and he would take 3 days for location hunting. And then you think, oh, wow, this is going to take a long time shooting. But then he shoots it like 1-2 takes. Let's continue. He's like, really,
wow.
With the schedule on the day, he was like done like way before the end.
This is the thing. We actually had a problem, like unlike usual problem. For example, if we will book a location at 2 p.m., but he will be done so fast and wanted to already start shooting at 1 p.m. So we have to on the day be like, this is not usual, but we're early. Oh, yeah. Can we go early too?
Normally, film sets are always late, always want to prolong everything, but we were constantly making everything earlier and earlier and earlier because he just shoots that fast.
Yeah.
So there's a potential that Herman Yau actually films within budget. That could be a...
Yes, very much.
Oh,
wow.
Actually,
so no wonder he's liked.
He not only shoot within budget, he often save budget for the producers. Producers like, I thought I would spend $3 million, but I guess this is 2.5.
It's just too fast because the cost in a movie is about the amount of people and the amount of days, and because he shoots so fast, the days will be less. So automatically, you're saving money.
And also, then never overtime payment with him.
Am I shortlisting Herman Yau for a
director? Yeah. Herman Yau is going to be on our director's list.
Put that down there. All right. So out of our it's a shame that we've lost some of our viewers from the last stream because we had some good chats going. Out of 5, what are we giving this one?
Just to remind people, I gave a 4 out of 5 for the first one. This one, I like it. Well, I know the movie is better as a movie, but personally, I do think I like the original better. And then that has to reflect in my... So I give it a 3.5 out of 5.
Katie?
Okay. So the original was an unconditional 5 because of Stephen Chow. So in that way, this movie is 4.5. And the detail is I -1 that Stephen Chow is not in, but I give it a plus 0.5 that everything else was great. like the characters are very, in my opinion, natural. And as a movie, you know, as a Stephen Chow movie, it's less Stephen Chow movie, but as a movie, it's well done, it's completed. As a Chinese movie, especially, it's natural, well acted, have all the emotional ups and downs, all make you cry. The parenting is just to make every Chinese cry, every Chinese parents cry. It's just complete and super well done. So I give it 0.5 plus. That's why it's 4.5 at the
It's a
end.
4.5. And I'm going to go with Katie's score as well, because I feel that for a Chinese comedy, it's actually funny, which is really rare for Western audiences to find Chinese comedies funny.
Exactly.
But also, I think the element of the Chinese New Year part of the film probably loses a little bit in me. I don't understand the concept behind the Chinese New Year film, and they constantly mention that throughout it. So perhaps I miss a bit that it was definitely the risque comedy was reduced. And of course, being a mainland production, it was never going to have too much risque comedy. But that came down a bit.
That's true. This one is a Chinese movie and not a Hong Kongese movie. That also makes a difference. Yeah.
But having said that, it does feel like a more charming film. It feels like he had a chance to go back over the film 20 years later and improve the bits that he could, get rid of that violent ending, and you know, cast the right character, cast the right actors, and build stories based on those actors. And that's why everyone's performance feels natural, because it feels like they're playing themselves. And thank you for that bit about the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where they, because now I see that everywhere, and it's even more funny that he can't even count when he comes to his bit.
Right.
Yeah, and I want to add to my rating then also why it's lower than yours is because in my personal feeling, although the first movie had that ending which is jarring, and although this movie is well made and I love the parents, I do think as a film as a whole that the original is a little bit more memorable than the new one. Although the new one hits me personally because it's very recognizable. As a film, I do think personally it's a little less memorable because it looks more like a normal movie and less Stephen Chow movie than the original did. But that's only to defend my 3.5.
But you know, I actually, in the way, kind of as a filmmaking person, right, as a film producer, I actually, in that way, agree with Wilco. Like when you make something that's great and perfect, it become like one of those Hollywood usual productions, and then it's just like a one-time like entertainment, and then after they just forgot about it. It's just like, you know, what was it, Love Actually, you know, like any of those movies that Hollywood makes with $20 million, that's kind of just one-time pleasure, and then you kind of forget about it afterwards. For that, I do agree. And then for that, I do also agree why the King of Comedy, the older one, it's a little weird. There's part that you're like, I don't get it, or the part that you're like, I don't agree with it, and that kind of linger a little longer.
Although I must say that probably if you watched it back in the day, because it has the Stephen Chow stamp. So maybe if you just saw The God of Cookery and you're just in that time period, maybe it would have just be as not forgettable, but like less memorable than it would be now. Maybe that is also something.
Yeah, we are missing that piece, that in time piece.
Yeah.
Aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yes, because I saw it recently, to be honest. The first time I saw both of these movies was this year. I mean, the first time. So I didn't see it back in the day when it came out.
All right. Now,
can I say one more thing?
Of course you can say one more thing.
Sorry.
I like how you raise your hand.
I want to say one more thing. Yeah, I like, because I want to do like a boom boom, you know, but I cannot do that. I do have one theory now, because I didn't notice that Cecilia Chon was the boyfriend guy, but now after you said that, yeah, they're both hookers. I mean, they're both escort. They're both
the character.
So they are. I didn't notice, but then I'm thinking maybe in the original King of Comedy, that girl and Stephen Chow, they're supposed to break up, and then Stephen Chow supposed to raise the stardom. But because of the actress Cecilia Chon and all this chemistry, maybe that wasn't possible. Maybe the producers. Maybe that was impossible. It was impossible for those two characters to actually, as a movie, right? They cannot separate because that was so much thing going.
Can you
Maybe
imagine?
that's why in the new one, you know,
he finally could do it. No, I understand. That's a good point. You think that the producers rewrote it and were like, you know what this movie needs? An action scene at the end, like John Woo, like people getting killed and blood and action and gunfire. That's what we really need.
Part of what I'm thinking the ending comes in, Katie, with the escort. I actually believe that's more to do partly with the Chinese regulations. I reckon that was probably a government thing to look at that and go, well, that's an escort? No, that's got to be a negative character.
No I see.
No happy ending for that one. So, I'm getting a bit more cynical when it comes to Chinese movies now, where I kind of break apart each motivation and go, oh, that was bloody government related. That was this related. And, one day China is going to break free of this shackle and they are going to make some of the best movies we will ever watch. But that day is nowhere near coming yet. Nowhere near coming.
Well, agreeing that one day,
time, I think.
I agree one day that there will be best movie coming out of China. But the other part of what you said, I have no comment.
That's fair enough. And possibly if you ever want to work in China again, you probably should comment about what I just said.
I don't think they're gonna do it before next fortnight. So I do think we need to do, in the meantime, there's not going to be a lot of good stuff coming out of China. Probably there's going to be more bad stuff coming out of China. So what do you suggest, Dan, what we do for next fortnight?
That we watch something that's terrible, but quite fun.
From where?
From our friends in mainland China. It's very much a student production that we're going to be watching. But we're going to have Eric, the Asian movie enthusiast, as a special guest, and we're going to torture him by watching this film as well as potentially a fourth person who's going to join us. And because I like to torment people. Can I show you the trailer for this film?
Oh, yeah.
Now, you're going to have to give me a second to find it because we had to restart this stream, I've lost where everything was. So just give me 1 second. Chat amongst yourselves.
So Katie, I'm very curious about what you're going to think about the trailer of Dead Space. And you should think about, while you watch the trailer, this comes out of the country I am from originally. So my pride for Stephen Chow. Now let's look at a movie that maybe you won't be as proud of.
Okay.
But let's see.
There are a lot of stuff I'm not proud of. I will see.
You're not going to be proud of this one. Let's have a look.
Let's check it out.
Let me see it.
Whoops.
Oh.
Nice.
Nice drone
It's
shot.
about as nice as it gets.
That was the nicest shot.
Not a drone shot, pretty nice.
Oh, it's so nice.
Tail of Nightmare.
I think I know where that After Effects template's from too. I'm pretty sure I've used that after that template there.
With the lightning.
For Chinese movie. Okay.
The girl was wet.
Okay. Looks pretty good so far. Oh, wait a minute. That girl, I think I maybe know her. Maybe not.
You are seeing all the good parts of the movie, by the way. This trailer.
That looks great. So far, it looks great.
发生了什么？
我不知道。
不知道. Katie,
However,
do you know anything about that film?
No, it looks great, but as the title suggests, it will be all a nightmare, right?
Yeah. So, what do you think the movie's based on?
Think about nightmares. What could it be?
Street.
Yep.
Exactly.
It is exactly A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So I found it one day while I was searching on Tubi for a movie to watch. And I put it on, and it was about 15 minutes in. I'm thinking, this plot sounds familiar, and the music is really familiar too. and then it is it's not exactly scene for scene, because there's certain bits in the American film they couldn't obviously show in China, but it is a pretty close replication. They've replicated the dialogue. They've changed Freddy Krueger to a different character. That's it. But even the way that he's killed is the same, and the backstory is the same. And the best part is, because of how they kill him at the end, it actually fits within the Chinese horror regulations. So they didn't need to change the ending to make it, something stupid. Yes, Wilco.
One question though, because behind the scenes you had to upload it on YouTube, so we could watch it, so to see if it gets through the clearance of the copyright.
Yes.
You had to remove all the music, which means we won't watch it with music, because all
That's
the music
correct.
is original Elm Street soundtrack. How the hell is it on Tubi?
Well, you've tried onboarding to Tubi, haven't you?
I haven't. What do you mean onboarding?
Well, because I've tried to onboard a movie onto Tubi.
Put on Tubi, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, I haven't done it myself.
So I've done it through a third party, and I asked them the same question. I go, what do I do about the music in this movie if I don't have the license for it? Yeah. And they said, we don't care, because we're uploading it on your behalf. It's assumed that you have the licensing for it.
Okay.
So,
well, it is true. In our distribution contract also says that we are liable for having all the rights. So they can just do whatever they want. We have to prove it at the end of the line, because all the cost goes back to us if something goes wrong.
Yeah.
All right.
And there's an awesome line right at the end credits that says all the music in the movie they found off the internet. And like, that exonerates them. And we just had a comment from Paul Eric, who's going to be watching this with us next week, who's mentioning about China making some good art house movies. I've got to tell you, Eric, this is going to be a 180 on that one. So be prepared.
It is art in a way.
It is art, just not very good art.
Well, I'm really wondering, do you think they get right from that for making the Chinese remake of Elm Street?
Absolutely not.
No.
Well, because this is the thing. I get a lot of inquiries from Chinese film companies to want to purchase rights to certain IPs in Japan. That it seems like they think making an original content is so hard and uncertain. They a lot of time just want to buy what's already done, and then copy it and do it, and then make a slightly Chinese version. But they really like to do that. So I'm wondering if they did the right.
Well, if they did that, they spend a lot of money on the rights, and then they had nothing left for the movie.
This is definitely a student production, Katie. It's definitely something that maybe even what Wilco and I might end up doing.
Yes. It would be if Tokyo Homestay Massacre was a remake of something, and we actually paid rights for a remake. That would be in the line.
Okay, that would be stupid. Okay, I see.
It's still a fun film, though. It's got to be viewed within the context of what it is. It's a 2016 Chinese horror film. 2016 was not a great year for Chinese horror to start with. And this film actually was released on Chinese streaming, but it doesn't have the golden dragon at the start of it, which makes me think it was never released theatrically.
No, I don't think so.
I think 100% no. Yeah.
Yeah. So
there's more stuff you need in order to be able to do that.
Well, I'm going to leave it up to you guys now. Do we want to check out the last video on the list, or do we want to call it a day?
You know what? Let's do it. Let's just do it.
Let's just do it. All right. So give me a second to find it. Find it.
All right.
I hate the fact that we had to restart this because I've lost everything.
No,
absolutely lost everything.
But anyway, as I said earlier, before in the first part that got taken down, Ouija Japan's coming out October 19th. It's Kill or Be Killed this Halloween, and it seems that Dan looked at it, and then he made a little video about 5 things he thought about it.
Excellent, and let's play it now.
Let's play it.
Ouija Japan is a 2021 independent Japanese action horror film from Tokyo Bay Films, a good
that's
friend
me.
of the channel.
And that's Katie.
This is their second
That's
film
us.
highlighting upcoming
That's my
Japanese
Tokyo Bay
directors,
Films.
and this movie is an exciting and gory blend of battle royales, mobile phone apps, and Ouija boards. Hi, I'm the Arty Dans, and we're going to explore 5 awesome
like
things
your,
about Ouija Japan.
I like the
Be
Harley Quinn
warned,
character.
there are some spoilers.
The gothic Lolita.
We've all seen the awesome 2000 Japanese action thriller, Battle Royale, about a group of school kids who
I
are
like what you did
relocated
here.
to an
Put us on the
island where
list
they have to
beside
kill each
Battle
other
Royale,
until there is one survivor.
Fortnite.
And if you haven't seen that, you've probably seen The Hunger Games, right?
Exactly.
And if
Our
you
movie's
haven't
just
seen
like The
either
Hunger
of
Games.
those two
Same
movies,
quality.
and quite frankly, I'd be
Yeah.
surprised if you haven't. Surely you know all about the Battle Royale video games like Fortnite. Well, we can now
I've
add
never played
Ouija
Fortnite,
Japan
by the
to
way.
this list.
Boom.
And what sets it apart? Well, it's something you've never
For
seen.
people watching
Fries
this,
made Japanese housewives
this
going
video
at it
will
until
be
the death. While on a
on
girls'
Dan's
night away
channel
to scout
after the
camping
show,
locations,
so
our
if we
cast of
talk through
characters
it,
are
don't
suddenly
worry, you can
thrust
always
into a
rewatch
murder
it
battle
later.
royale game
Yeah,
when
but
they
that-
insult a local fox deity.
Welcome
And
to
in
the
another
game.
twist to the formula, it all revolves around something that's ubiquitous to us all.
What is that? An app.
We all love our phones and the variety of apps installed
Yeah.
on it, don't we?
You know, I
But I'm pretty
have
sure
a
we know
quiz
all of the apps we've
to
installed
you
on our phone.
guys.
You have a
Yeah.
quiz to...
Japan
Yeah.
is
Okay.
different is the mysterious killing
In this
app that's installed
clips
on
or in the
all
entire
these
movie,
phones
there are
with
one
webbing
scene,
knowledge.
or maybe
The
a little
app
bit
is
more
a
than one
portal
scene
into
that
the
was
game
not
Kill
directed by
World.
Kato.
It keeps a constant
Oh,
That was
really?
directed by the yes, the
and allows the users
second
the ability to see where
even
the other
uncredited,
women are, as well as a few
director.
other cool
Oh, wait,
features that are
wait.
slowly unlocked as more people
Because
are
I
killed.
do like
Some of the other things
what Dan
available to
says
the women
here. I
include
first
the
wanna hear what
awesome
Dan
Eye of
says
God,
here.
which
Just
thankfully is explained by Satsuki, one
No,
of the
I
main
think you already
characters
said it.
in the movie, and a map that keeps track
Guys,
of everyone's
watch this
location.
video after the show.
That means there's no rest for the wicked.
What
here,
Dan is
and the
saying is
women
100%
always
we
have to
agree
keep
with it.
on their
It has
toes.
cool explanation of the film. So check this out. But sorry,
wouldn't be
Katie,
an
let's
app without
do what you.
microtransactions,
Yeah,
The
so
bane of every
I
mobile
bet
phone
if you
gamer,
can get
and
which
let's be honest,
scene it
most
is.
console
Oh shit!
gamers too.
Is it a
The
long
concept
scene or
of the
is it a full scene?
microtransaction is taken to a whole
Are you not
new
gonna say
level
It's not
in
directed by the
Ouija Japan.
director.
While normally
But
you'd
it's
expect
seen-
to
it's a
be
scene
an
different
item or
in
a new
this clip.
costume. In Ouija
Is
Japan,
if you need me to give you a
microtransactions
second
by the
hint, I will
women's
give you a
real
second
weapons and
hint.
abilities.
Let me.
I already
Yeah.
discussed the Eye of God in the
All right, the
previous
second
chapter,
scene is
which
it's a clip
mysterious
that we
camera that is
release
able
and
to follow
as
a selected
exclusive
victim
clips
around,
from.
Oh,
allowing the
seriously?
user to know
Yes.
exactly
The fry
where
pan
they
scene.
are. But the weapons are the real show.
Yes.
So I watched the
Wow.
fry pan scene
Explosives
yesterday
and
on
traps
Fangoria.
are all
I think it wasn't
Oh,
on
yes.
whichever site had it.
No,
Yeah.
Fangoria has
Give them the
the
needed
has
edge
the
in this
the
killing
first
game.
fight with
And what is
Satsuki
the currency
and
they use?
oh, it's the
Well,
one where the
it's not
app
money, but something a little more
picks the first
important to
loser.
women,
That's
their
the
lives.
one on
Every
Fangoria.
contestant
No,
is
well,
numbered
I did see the
one
fry
based on
pan
their
scene
life
yesterday.
expectancy
Yeah.
and can use
Yes.
these credits to buy
The
various
fry
weapons
pan
and
scene
abilities.
Was
But they gotta be
directed by
careful
the
with their
guy who
spending,
was
because
saying
when the
"bad
credits run
guy."
out,
Oh,
it's game over.
by the Himo.
The guy was in who was getting hit by the frying pan. He directed
yes.
himself.
Fuckman.
While
That.
the app is a fun element, the main part of the killing game begins with
Just ask a question about that. Do you know when he introduces himself to the girls, and then Satsuki starts
in
telling
Japan,
Karen
you don't
about
go out
him?
and buy an Ouija board. No,
She says the
You have
word.
to make one
I
yourself.
can't remember the exact word, but
Just
she
get a
says the
pen
word in
and a piece of
Japanese.
paper.
Himo.
Call the
about-
Japanese
Yeah,
alphabet,
doesn't
some
he
numbers,
pick that up
and
and
a Japanese
realize
gate at the top.
that
He
he's
does.
saying-
That's why
Good
he
to go
says
to summon
you're
something
talking
from another realm.
crap behind my back,
When
or
the
you're
women
insulting
create
me.
their own
Yeah, that's
Ouija
what he
board,
says.
They use it to do normal
he does.
things
He
most
knows.
people
Why
do
would she
when
be
they
so
use one,
brave
such
as to
as
say it
asking about
around it?
someone
Like,
else's
is
sex life.
Satsuki really
It's
that
good
much
to
of a
know that
badass
even
that
as
she
we
just
get
doesn't care?
older,
Yep.
we stay a little immature when
Yeah.
it comes to things like
Badass
other people's sex
asshole.
lives.
It's kind of like how you
Anyway,
see the
after
character.
the women use the board
I will
and
give
ask
you a
the
little
fox
tidbit,
deity
little
these
information you will
questions, the coin
don't find
explodes,
anywhere else, and I
covering
will
them in
just give it
blood,
to you
and
here.
thus,
The
the
role of
game
Satsuki
begins.
is based
So why
on
does this happen?
the director
Well,
himself.
The women have been rather
Oh.
disrespectful to the fox deity.
Oh.
And their childish fighting
So he's a
over
rather
the coin,
feminine
which
male.
was
I'm
stolen
just
from an
kidding.
offering
No,
of the temple
No, it's
was
like-
its last straw.
No, it's like
There's a
in
deep
his
message
writing,
here,
he
and it's poignant.
how do you say that?
Don't piss off a deity because they've
how do you
kept
say
up
that?
with the times.
Connected
They're
mosely to
making
the
apps
role
now
for
and getting other
Satsuki, so
people
that
to
was
do their
more like
dirty
his
work. You've
see
been warned.
role playing character, let's say. He
he wanted to be a
identified most
badass.
with her.
Decades
Yeah.
watching Japanese horror movies.
He
I've
looks
been
like a
led to
badass. I don't
believe
know
that,
if he is
with
a
very
badass,
few
but
rare exceptions,
he did
Japanese
the
women
same
are
thing with his
mostly
first
polite
movie.
and
He
seemingly
also
timid.
had a female
Well,
lead
Ouija
that
Japan
was
smashes that
a
mold.
female version of how
What
he
really
wants to
hits you
be,
from
and
the
that's the
start
same with
is the
Suzuki
general
in this movie.
nastiness of Akio.
So can
the
I say
leader
in
of
my
the
head,
community center,
like I've read
and how
his
she treats
name,
the foreigner and the main
Masato.
character of
What's his name again?
Masaya.
Masato.
Masaya.
Sure.
Masaya.
Masaya
Agreed
Kato.
with Akio,
Do you know
she
who I
didn't need to
instantly
be
think of
so
straight away?
nasty, right?
No.
Hero
This is where
from the
Satsuki
from the
comes in
TV
to
show
save the
Heroes.
day.
That's
She seems to
short,
be Karen's
pudgy,
own
and I keep
friend,
thinking that's
so
the same
sure,
guy.
She stands
You
up
know
for
it's
herself
Doesn't
not.
look like that
appropriate
at
times.
all.
Oh, thank
Well,
God.
it's not that black and white.
Actually,
He definitely has
in a
other
way,
motives,
he
which
looks
are
more like a
explained later
Stephen
in the
Chow
film,
kind of
and
type.
the subtitles give us a
Ah.
great insight.
Yeah, but then like
So
an
looking.
alternative
Plays
version with a
both
leather
sides.
Yeah,
jacket and a lot
alternative.
of rings.
She's definitely the
Yeah.
most interesting character.
Ah.
A
and
rock
one
star
that you'll
version of
easily
Stephen
cheer
Chow.
on as she kicks
Let's
all
say.
shades of ass.
Actually,
throughout the
I had a
Battle
boss
Royale,
in
killing
Shanghai when I
like my
had an
favourite steak knife
internship in
salesman
Shanghai,
used to
and I
say,
worked for a
"But
guy,
there's
and my
more.
boss, who
There
I
are
worked
quite a
for,
few more
looked
interesting
exactly
characters in
like
this
an
movie.
older version
Not
of
just
Stephen
the
Chow.
cliquey women that hang around with
Oh.
Akio.
I
There's
think that's
also
pretty
three
interesting.
women who bully around
Can I
the
ask
tough
another
man.
question?
Again, showing
Sure.
a strange, nasty side of
And if you
Japanese
don't
women
want to
that I
tell
didn't
me
think was
about it or
possible.
everyone about it, that's
I
fine.
hope these 5 awesome
And I think
things
I
have whet your appetite
got
for
this
film.
illusion anyway. But
Ouija
Satsuki
Japan launches in
is a
October
lesbian.
2021 and will be
Yes.
available on Amazon Prime Digital Rental
so,
and to buy via Blu-ray at
is that the
Walmart,
same as the director?
Amazon and Best Buy.
No,
No, it's not gay.
Director likes women
as
too,
future
yeah.
release on
That's-
Tubi.
Sorry?
Thanks for watching.
The director
the 5
likes
awesome
women
things
too.
about
Oh, no, no.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
Okay, okay.
If you enjoyed it, please leave me a like.
Not what I meant, but anyway.
No.
Leave me a comment if there are
There
movies
is
you'd
something
like me
to
to
say
look
about
at
that,
and
but I
find awesome
believe
things
if I
about.
start talking
Another one.
about that, then I actually incentivizing people not to watch the movie.
Yeah, good. Don't. Yeah, you have to watch it.
And
People
I
have to
think
watch it.
I think that is not okay. Well, for you, I can say it off air, and maybe we can talk about this maybe next year when everybody saw it and the reviews are in. Yeah, there is something to say why she's a lesbian, but I cannot go into that at this moment.
Oh, cool. So the person who just joined
Okay.
the stream now has heard the word lesbian, is like, might
He's
continue
like, hey,
watching the stream a bit now.
Well, there is a
I'm
big
gonna like it.
unhappened spoiler that I will tell you later.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
later.
cannot go into it because then people are like,
No, you have to watch
Anyway.
the movie first.
yeah, you have to watch
Yeah.
the movie, and exactly. And if you watched it, we can say all these inside tidbits and interesting. Actually, it would be a good IMDb. Did you
Trivia.
know? Trivia.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, we've come to the end of this morning's, this evening's show. Unfortunately, a bit fragmented, thanks to a errant copyright claim.
Copyright
So,
claim.
when I put the replay of this episode up, I'll try and stitch it together. But it is going to be obvious that something's happened. So,
Probably.
thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry to everyone who was with us all the way through the other one. We had quite a good crowd going, actually, and then boom, all of a sudden we lost them.
We got flagged.
We got flagged.
Talking about China.
So I might actually do a private stream of the movie during the week to make sure that we don't run into any trouble when we're
Dead
doing
Space,
it.
right?
Yeah, Dead Space.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
Katie, did you also pick up the full title of that movie is called Game of Thrones Presents Dead Space?
Seriously?
No,
Yes.
I didn't. What?
That's what it translates into. I'll send you the title later. You can
Wow.
have a look at it. But anyway, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you for the chats that we had in our first stream. It was great interaction, and I really loved hearing from people. Thank you, Katie, for being on the show.
Thank you for
how
having
great.
me.
Thank you, Katie.
Yeah.
I enjoy very much.
Well,
Great.
we really
back.
hope that we get you back.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know.
doesn't
I
respond,
currently I'm in the film productions, so I will be
November.
maybe
November.
maybe after the film productions.
After
Well, we've got some
November.
topics with the Condor films, so we know we're going to talk about a bit of Wuxia.
Exactly.
which should
that
be
that I
fun.
have to be
Fun.
there.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That I have to be there.
Otherwise, we'll catch everyone in 2 weeks for
Okay.
the
Definitely.
Wii
Last thing I first want to say is that please follow Tokyo Bay Films. That is me and Katie. There's a link in the description for a link tree for Tokyo Bay Films. You can find more information about the films we do, the films that are available, and of course, please follow us on Instagram and Twitter because we're going to reveal some great new stuff in the coming months, and then that's where we will say it first.
Beautiful. Thank you, everyone. I have had a great time.
Thank you, everyone.
And we'll see you soon.
See you
Bye
soon.
bye.
See you next time. Bye bye.